Hi, it's time for another verb of the day. Today's verb is alleviate. Let's take a look at the definition or the way that we use this verb. Alleviate is frequently used to describe an action where someone is making pain less severe, they're making suffering less severe, they're making some type of problem or some deficiency less severe. You might think of this as not as bad. So, this particular verb, alleviate, is used in a number of situations. And you might think of it like the word or the verb improve, right? So, something is getting better. And that something is usually something that's bad, right? Pain, suffering, problems. You should know that alleviate is a regular verb. To make the progressive tense, you're going to drop the E and then add ing to form alleviating. The past tense and participle forms of this verb are made by just adding the letter D since this verb already ends with an E. The base verb, alleviate, ends with a T sound. So our past tense ending is going to make an id sound. And we're going to add an extra syllable as we say that past tense in participle form. Alleviated, alleviated. Okay. You'll be happy to know I don't have any additional phrasal verbs with different meanings for us to study today. So that's going to allow us to practice using our verb of the day, alleviate, in a couple different ways. Today, we're going to focus on the simple future, and we're going to look at making sentences with both will and be going to. So there are a number of ways to talk about things that are going to happen in the future. These are two of the more common ways people talk about the future. So before we look at the structure of each, let's talk a little bit about why people use will and why some people might use be going to as they speak or write. Both will and be going to can be used to talk about predictions, right? So things we think will happen or are going to happen in the future. Sometimes people will make a small differentiation in that when they make a prediction with will, they're basing it on their opinion or their experiences. Whereas when they use be going to, they're using some evidence to form that prediction. So outside of their own personal opinions or experiences. Will is often used for quick decisions, right? So not something you've thought about for a long time where you've made a plan, right? When you've made a plan, we tend to use be going to explain or show that we have thought this through. Many times we'll use will if we're making a promise, an offer as well. Those are our other common situations. So now let's focus on the structure for both of these simple future sentences. To make an affirmative sentence in the simple future using will, you're going to use will and then the base verb. Okay? This is true no matter what our subject is. Let's take a look at an example sentence. A partnership between the VA and the state government will alleviate the strain on the mental health care system. Okay, so here the phrase VA might be new for you. This is referring to a government Department of Veteran Affairs, VA. So veterans are people who have served in the military. And so we're talking about a partnership between this organization and another state government that is going to lessen the strain, and strain means too many needs, not enough ability, or not enough resources to help. So many of our veterans need greater and better mental health care. And for many years, it hasn't been going well. It can take many months to get an appointment with a counselor or a therapist. And now, in some states, like in our example sentence here, many organizations are working together to try and improve on the problem that exists. So I think this sentence was uttered by an official. So it might be this person's opinion and why they chose to use will in this situation. Now, if you want to make a negative simple future sentence using will, you're going to use will not and then the base verb. You might hear some people use the contraction won't and then the base verb. An example, discussions won't alleviate tensions between the two countries. Okay? So I'm sure you can imagine a situation where two countries are having some type of dispute, and they're saying having meetings discussing the problems or issues are not going to make those problems go away or be less severe. If you want to ask a yes or no question with will, you can start with will, then use your subject, and then the base verb. You can see that in the example. Will 24-hour daily operations at the port alleviate the supply chain issues? Maybe you've been following this in the news lately, but throughout the world, not just here in the United States, many people are struggling to get certain products. Many stores have challenges finding or keeping certain products in stock, so available for purchase. And that's because we have these cargo ships that are stuck offshore, and there haven't been enough people to unload and process all of those materials. So this question is asking, if we run operations, so we have people working 24 hours a day, is that going to improve the current problem we have with our supply chain? Now let's take a look at using be going to. To make an affirmative sentence with be going to, we need to pay attention to our subject. If our subject is my form of be will be am, but if my subject is you, we, or they, it will be are. And then if my subject is he, she, or it, it will be is. So that form of be is going to change based on what the subject is. But after that, then we've got the same structure. So we're going to have am, is, are, one of those, then going to, and then the base verb. Okay? You can see that in the example sentence. The backpacks filled with food are going to alleviate children's hunger when they aren't at school. Maybe your school district has a program like this where low-income families and children are provided with extra food over the course of the weekend to make sure that they're not going hungry. So there have been many studies about how effective this type of program can be. So again, if we imagine someone writing this or saying it, they might be making this prediction based on evidence. If you want to make a negative sentence using be going to, again, you're going to start with a form of be that matches the subject. Then you'll use not and then going to and the base verb. You can see that in the example. Surgery isn't going to alleviate your pain. So this might be a sentence the doctor says to a patient, someone who's really asking, can we do surgery to improve some sort of condition? The doctor might be saying, unfortunately, if we do surgery, it is not going to make your pain less. Okay? Finally, if you want to ask a yes or no question using be going to, start with your form of be that matches your subject. That subject comes next. And then we'll follow going to and the base verb. You can see that in the example. Is the larger road going to alleviate traffic congestion? Right? So imagine there's a road project, there are going to be more lanes, and someone is wondering, right, will this lessen the problem of congested traffic? Now, let's spend just a moment looking at some words that are related to our verb alleviate. The first word that we're going to look at is the noun form alleviation. This is the action or the process of making pain, suffering, a problem, or some deficiency less severe. Again, we might think of that not so bad. So, an example of this noun in a sentence could be, one of the charity's main purposes is the alleviation of poverty. Right? So poverty is referring to the condition of being very poor, and so this particular organization is working to make the problem less severe. Another related word that you might occasionally hear or see is the noun alleviator. And I want to note here that I think this is more common in the UK than it is in the United States. As I looked for examples of this particular noun in different articles, most of the sources I found were from the UK. I didn't see a lot of US based publications using this particular noun. But if you would happen to read something with alleviator in it, you should know that it's either referring to a remedy or a person that is going to make some pain or make some problem less severe. So sometimes counselors and therapists are referred to as alleviators. An example of the remedy might be in the question, what's your favorite stress alleviator? Right? So this is different for different people. Some people find that exercise lessens their stress, right? Things that make them feel a little under pressure or worried. For other people, maybe it's music or taking a relaxing bath, right? It could be a number of different things. But again, we're talking about a remedy, right? So a thing, or maybe in this case, an action that's going to make this problem less severe. Thanks so much for watching today's video. I hope you have a great day.